Thanks for tuning into the five flavors. Thanks for coming back. I am so excited about today's episode. I've been looking forward to this all week. Our guest today is Lisa from Soul Design. It's a practice rooted in helping people realign with their true essence through meditation, trauma work, energetic insight, and sound healing. We got to talk about that. Lisa's work supports individuals and organizations in releasing blocks, in gaining clarity, and creating lives that feel deeply authentic and aligned. I mean, who doesn't want to live an authentic life? So, in this episode, we're going to explore what soul design really means, how inner alignment impacts our overall happiness. And we're going to give you simple ways that you can begin listening to your inner guidance starting today. So take a breath, get comfortable, and join us as we dive into another flavor of happiness. Lisa, thank you so much for coming. I am so happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Susan.
So, I have to ask you the most basic fundamental question. How did all of this begin?
Yeah, well, I had a panic attack about 20 years ago. And in that moment, I don't know if you've had one before, known people that have had one, it's like a surreal moment. Like almost feels like you die. Like it's like I saw white. Like I just like kind of tapped out for a minute. And, my beautiful mother, who I love and adore, was like, oh, just, take some medication. And I was just like, I want to look into holistic ways to manage stress and anxiety. And it was like, just in that moment, was like instantly like, I want to find holistic ways to manage stress and anxiety and like dive deep into this because like I grew up with anxiety. Like I had text anxiety when I was a kid. And I used to worry a lot. And I was just like, and I feel like, growing up, I didn't have proper tools to navigate things. It's like, okay, if you're anxious, just shake it off. If you're sad, shake it off. It's like keep moving. Like don't stop, which which, sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like certain things in life, but then there's other times when you're like, you need to really reflect and dive deep in things. So in that moment, I looked to anything holistic. If somebody was like, "Hey, this is gonna change your life or improve your life," I'm gonna try it at least once, whether it's for me, for a friend, for a client, whatever. So I went to a spiritual school about 17 years ago, and a coworker of mine told me about it. I was an account manager at a marketing company, and she's like, "There's a school, there's meditation, you might like it." And so I went just for the meditation, just for myself, just to try it out. In that school, I actually learned meditation for 6 months, and then I did the chakra reading, aura reading program. Then I did the past life reading program for 2 years, and then hands on healing. And again, just for myself, just like to deepen my spiritual awareness and just to dive deep. And I was also, at the time, very stressed as an account manager, just dealing with a lot of clients and high stress and how do I deal with this? And so the meditation helped. And the more I dived deep, like it just felt like I got lighter and lighter and lighter. And then over the years, I got certified in trauma work and then learned other modalities. Um, yeah. So, I mean, after all these years, and to be honest, I'm a very logical person. And so I was an account manager and I was, pursuing this other health and wellness business. And other friends of mine that are intuitive were like, God wants you to be a healer, like, wants to be intuitive and help people with this, and you better get to it. And I was like, "Oh, like, I didn't even know this was an option." I thought this is just it's very woo-woo, like, it's just, like, something you do for fun and, like but it's much deeper than that. So it's, like, a mix of fun and emotional, like, of, transforming that. So, yeah, so essentially it just started with myself and being my own best client for myself and looking for ways to get through things. And I feel like the one thing I realized is anxiety is unprocessed emotions, or at least for myself personally and clients, where it's like we have all these thoughts and all these overwhelm and we get so anxious, and it's like when we stop and process it is when we can truly release it and maybe gain a new perspective or just give that inner self or inner child that space to transform is when we can truly let it go.
I
So
think it's so fascinating because so many of us are in no shade on our parents, but back when we were kids, we weren't given the tools, and I'm sure
right.
our parents also weren't given
Right,
the
of
tools, so they
course.
didn't know how, and I just feel like now, with times are changing, that so many of us are trying to say, "Okay, let's figure out what the tools are so we can change the next generation." So, I just think that's so cool that you are taking what you learned and now listening to your friends and your
Yeah,
intuition.
yeah,
But how did you then I want to dive into past lives because I didn't know you did that and that's
yeah,
really really interesting because that must
yeah,
be so transformative when you
yeah,
go into that space.
yeah. Yeah, it is. I'm I know a lot of different modalities, so that's, like, one. So even though because like, it's funny because for me, my logical brain is like, when I hear past lives, it's like, when I'm working with a client one-on-one and I'm like, "Do you see this? Is this what's going on?" And they're like, "Yes, yes, yes." But it's like past life, you can't, like, pull a book out and be like, "This is correct," like, so, sometimes I have a hard time wrapping my brain around it even though I've done probably thousands of readings by now. But, it's more of I when I look at past lives, it's only to help people transform because we come into this life with sometimes unconscious ancestral past life trauma or things that happened. It's the same analogy I like to use when people have like a fear of spiders or snakes or certain things that's like unexplained. Like there's nothing that like happened before that, but they come in with this like overwhelming fear of something. And that could even be like a belief. It could even be, just certain ways that we're like, where did this even come from? So um, I once had a client who I was like, "Okay, I see this 15th century, arranged marriage, emotionally abusive," and I, like, went into detail about the life, and she's like, "So I had a reading from someone else a few months ago, 15th century, arranged marriage, emotionally abusive." I'm like, "Oh, well, that life pans out."
Wow. So did that
So,
help her?
yeah, yeah, because so the thing is, like, I've had other friends that are also psychic, and they'll see past lives and all these things, and then I'll, like, talk to them, and I'm like, "But did they clear the past life? Because 'Cause you're supposed to update it with Akashic Record Keeper, because when you see a past life, it's usually correlated there's usually a lesson in there or a contract or, like, it go it's like it goes so deep, but it's like, when I work with people, I'm like, "Okay, we're seeing this past life. Let's update that past life so you're no longer having to relive that same way of being." And then let's update that and clear it so you can make space, in this life for new, for everything else. But yeah, so that's just one aspect. So when I work with people, that's never necessarily the main focus. It's more of just like it pops in. And then like sometimes like I've had clients where it's funny because usually people come to me for one thing and then we end up sometimes working on another thing. And like I had a client that I think what was it? She was looking, I think, relationships. And then all of a sudden we cleared trauma from her mom and her sister-in-law, and, like, sometimes even see past lives with them or just working on the trauma and the connection with them and how it's impacting her and how she operates and just, like, creating boundaries. So it's a lot of things. But, yeah, we're so vast and, there's so many layers to us as humans, and, like, I've also helped clients and also myself, especially for some reason, very focused on, like, ancestral healing because there's so many things and traumas and like all the wars we've had and like all the, devastation that's happened over, so many, lives of our ancestors. It's like updating and clearing that because people don't realize when you heal yourself and the trauma of that, it actually goes back lineages.
So okay, let me
Sorry,
try to
I'm talking
understand
too
this.
fast.
No, no, I love it. I love it. So when you heal yourself, we're actually healing other people in the past?
Yes,
So healing the past?
other people in our family and lineage.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
so
it's like
interesting.
it's like I wish more people knew that because it's like I've really been focusing on that even for myself personally in the past year, even just praying and working on like for instance, like my grandfather had a heart attack and he died before I was even born. Actually, that's the first psychic vision I even ever saw. Like my grandmother passed and I had a vision of my grandpa on a bench and he was like looking at his watch and he's like, "Hurry up, Stella." And I was like, "Okay." Like I didn't think anything of it. And then I went to the funeral and my uncle was telling us all how my grandpa was always telling my grandma to hurry up. But I wasn't like, "I'm psychic." Yeah, and so that was like the first vision I've had. So I've noticed a lot of people that are intuitive or psychic, sometimes their first vision that they see is sometimes when a deceased loved one passes away. Like that's sometimes when their gifts tend to open up. Uh, so that was like the first vision I had, but I've been I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was in the middle of the night or something, but I like my grandfather came in and all of a sudden my chest was heating up and I was like, "Oh, we're like healing that." He carried a lot because he was kind of the man of the household because my great-grandfather went back to Italy and all these things, and so he carried a lot in his heart, and then that kind of impacted how he had a heart attack. And so as I was working on that, my heart was heating up. And the interesting thing is in the morning, I was like, "Mom, do you feel, like, more relaxed today and, like, better?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh," because I did work on our family lineage and, like, it impacted her, so it goes back. So,
So
yeah.
you mentioned something about, and I think this is really fascinating. You said that when you work with people in their past lives, that you have to update their life so that they're not reliving it. How do you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, so it's with the Akashic record keeper. So, like, we all have Akashic records. It's almost like a personal butler
Mhm.
for all your
Okay.
lives. It's almost like a library. Like, we all
Mhm.
have our own libraries of all the lives we've ever had. And so, taking that life, and then I have, like, I do certain things where it's like fill up the lifetime up with gold, send it to the Akashic record keeper to update. Like, there's a few other things I do. And then, yeah, so
Wow.
update that. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. Okay. So I'm curious. So we have you having your panic attack, saying, "Okay, I'm going to dive deeper. I don't want to take medication. I want to figure out the root of the problem." Doing all of this holistic work, being your own best teacher, listening to your friends and saying, "Okay, I've got to go out and help the world." And it looks like you are helping the world.
Yeah.
How did you take that leap? How did you say, "Okay, I'm going to do it"?
Yeah, honestly, it's like just small steps because it's like it's interesting because I feel like I've had, it's like I took the leap to be self-employed about 10 years ago. So in that moment, it was just like I need my own I need my own time. I need to have control of my schedule. I like and so that was the gist behind it where it's like I need to be my own boss. Like it's just like you have to like take that leap. And, not like it's been linear. And it's like I've done other things as well to support that. And it's like also, sell wellness products and like other things. So it's like all these different things support it. Um, and it's just honestly, it's just like taking small steps. And I feel like for me, it was like when I was an account manager, I was taking classes like for this, like on nights, nights and weekends. So it's like with anything, I think it's just, like, taking those small steps, but the funny thing is I didn't realize that was gonna happen, like, it was gonna lead to something, I was just taking it for myself, so it's like, I think it was just yeah, just taking small steps, like, keep taking small, small steps, and then all of a sudden you just kinda jump in.
So let's talk about, well, I want to ask you two things. I want to talk about the soul design blueprint, but I want to talk, before we go into that, I want to talk about listening to your inner guidance
Yeah,
because not everybody has. I wish I had friends that were just psychic and then I could just call. They could be like, "Oh, Susan, this is going to happen," but I don't.
yeah,
You do.
yeah.
So for us who don't, how do you listen, or what's some easy ways, some tips or tricks that somebody like me out there who's just a corporate person, how could we listen to our inner guidance? How could we tap into it easier?
Yeah, I think, meditation is good, and prayer is also good, I feel like especially in past what year or 2. I mean, I've always had a relationship to God and I, grew up Catholic and like, but I feel like I had to I also had to work through years of guilt, like, Catholic guilt and like everything too, because like even clients that I'll have will like have that idea that, God related to like religion, where it's like I don't look at God like that. I look more vast and like connected to everything. And so for me personally, it's like, sometimes life can get noisy and you're like, I don't know which way to go. I don't know what to do. And to be honest, like even though I'm a psychic, I don't look at the future because I believe it can always change. So I always like to look at the present and then help heal the past and also the present so you can have even brighter future as opposed to this is going to happen, and then people hold on to it. And then sometimes I feel like if you tell people this is going to happen, then they relax. Maybe they don't do the work they need to do to get to that point. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes
Sure,
I feel like it
sure.
can be, um, yeah, I just don't feel like that's like the best focus. I feel like sometimes people need encouragement, like, yes, but then like not always. So, I mean, there's one tool I really like to use and like it's called a God password. So when like say if there's like an opportunity or something or maybe there's a place you want to live or there's something you're considering like should I do this, God? Like is this for my highest good to do this? Like even for myself like it was a few years ago I was having a season of doubt where I was like should I do this? Like I don't know. Like I got to a point where I was like I helped everybody I needed help and it was just kind of like okay, it seems like it's slow right now. Like, what is happening? It just seems like everything was shifting. And I was like, okay, God, if I'm really meant to do this and I'm really meant to help people, and then the thing is, you're supposed to say it in your mind. Like, you're not supposed to say it out loud. You're just kind of like having this conversation with God. And you're like, okay, God, if I'm meant to do this, show me blank. So, like, you have a symbol. And like, for me, it was gold butterflies. And I was like, okay, God, if I'm really meant to continue on this path, show me gold butterflies. I'm like, okay. So I just go about my day, or week or whatever. And I think it was that day I went to the store and I was looking for something in particular. And I asked the girl, I was like, okay, I'm looking for this. She's like, okay, follow me. And so, when I met her, it was like her shirt was just plain shirt on the front. I'm like, okay. And then as I'm following her, there's like all these gold butterflies in the back. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
okay,
That's so
okay, thanks,
cool.
God. So
Wow.
I was like, I am meant to do this. And sometimes I think, you know, um, doing something like this or just even anybody that's entrepreneur or like self-employed, it's like, sometimes you have seasons that are great. Sometimes you're riding that wave for a while, then other times things are slow. And like sometimes that's okay because I feel like for me, I went through a slow period about a year or so ago. But the beautiful thing is like it stopped me from reflecting on how I was doing things because I said I was like an intuitive before, which is great. I said intuitive energy healing and like people would work with me and they'd be like, wow, you do so much. But it's like if they couldn't like put it into words and they were just like, and so I felt like I had this website that was kind of just like moving, 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 like just like a website to put something up for people to see, like not necessarily maybe it didn't encompass everything. So it was before I worked with like all hundreds of people, so it's like a little bit different. So it wasn't until this past May that I got inspired to call rebrand myself as a soul designer because it's like I'm helping people with like spiritual, emotional, physical, like I'm helping people with like overall wellness because it's like not just one, it's not just spiritual woo woo. Like I've had clients where I had a client where I helped his dad cross over to the other side because he hadn't crossed over yet. So I helped his dad
Oh,
cross over.
wow.
Yeah, so I helped his dad cross over, and then same session, I was telling him how to create boundaries at work. So it's like so it's kind of like whole wellness. So it's like, okay, like I look at the whole picture, but I'm able to give spiritual and logical guidance because I also worked with a cognitive behavioral therapist for a while. So sometimes I give people verbiage. And so I'm very big on communication. And so it's like, it's not just one thing. It's not just like, let's just relax and do some energy healing, and it's like, no, let's dive deep and clear some stuff. But also make you feel relaxed and revived when you leave. So, yeah. So it's deep work in a lighthearted way. But yeah, whole I whole enchilada. I feel like I've yet to meet somebody that does what I do. I feel like a lot of people that do in the similar realms will be like focused on energy healing or focused on a psychic reading or focused on trauma work or focused on this where it's like I bring whatever I need into the session, but it's almost like yeah. So
That's awesome. So what is a soul design blueprint? What is that?
so yeah, that's just essentially your what you it's like looking at what's in the way of you creating your happiest and best life. And so every blueprint, is different. So it's kind of like the beautiful thing is when people work with me, I feel like it's more efficient than, say, traditional therapy or coaching because I'm reading people without them even saying a word. So I can just like tap into their energy field. So it's like, I have one on one clients with the soul design and I'm stepping into corporate wellness because I had this client and she's like, okay, can you read my husband? I'm like, okay. I didn't get his name. I didn't get who he did. I didn't know anything. Like I don't even think I heard his voice at all. I was like, okay, let's jump in. And so when I jumped in, I was like, can I be straight with you? He was like, yeah. And I was like, you need to stop being passive aggressive with your employees. I was like, you need to sit them down, see
Oh,
are they
wow.
going yeah, yeah. I was like, you need to sit them down, see are they going through something hard or are they BSing you? If they're BSing you, maybe three strikes are out. And if they are going through something hard, find something or like try to figure out a plan for that person individually and like what they need. Maybe they lost a loved one or maybe they're going through a huge hardship and like that's why they're not performing as well. So maybe figure out something for that person. So and then he was just like,
So, I think I talk to God a lot. Is it God? Is it me? Am I giving myself guidance, or is it my spirit guides? Because I go on walks all the time, right? And I'm always talking, I'm always thinking, what could I do? How do I do this better? And things come to me, and I don't know, is it just my own inner intuition that's coming to me, or is it divine guidance?
I feel like that's like a relative question. And I feel like that's something I'm honestly still discovering. But to be honest, I feel like it's all those things. I feel like it's a little bit of all of it. But I
Okay.
feel like at the end of the day, it's always God. Like and then they say that we're all God because we're connected to God. That's where it came from. It's like true source. So I feel like when you get those ideas, that's why I say I'm just a faucet. Like I'm not necessarily special. I'm just literally have cleared my vessel so much that I can get messages and, help people. But I actually had a client once who she's very Christian and she was considering working with me and another friend of ours that worked with me, she was saying, how does this work with Lisa and like Christianity? And she's like, Lisa's getting messages from God to give to you. So it's just
Right.
a faucet. But at the end of the day, we're all, faucets. We're just getting messages and things. But I feel like, it's all the above. Like, cause when I have like a whole spirit team, when I'm like working on myself or on my clients and just say, okay, God, spirit team, everybody like, you know, bring in the highest, I pray for the highest and best good messages for this person and that, I get clear messages that they need to hear. And yeah, so I feel like, and when we're going about our day, say, I pray for this or something better, and bring that in. So yeah.
So let me ask you about the gift that you have. Was it passed generationally, or do you think everyone can get that gift if we just do the work and open up?
Yeah, so my great aunt was a psychic reader, and so I grew up with that, and like I feel like she focused on like future, as I know, did it's funny because I didn't. have I didn't know I have the gift when I was a kid at all. So, it was just more of like, "Oh, my aunt's a psychic, like, cool," and then thankfully when I got into this world, all this spiritual stuff and all the things that are happening to me, I would talk to my mom about it and she would just be like, "Oh," like open. And so I'm really grateful I had that, as my mom, to have the openness. So, but I do believe that I feel like we all genuinely have the gift, but I feel like I just really worked my muscles. Like, it's like I went to, what's that gym in Venice? Like the Gold's Gym, the Venice. Like, it's like I'm over there, like working my spiritual muscles. Like, I feel like I was over, doing that. Not over there. I'm just joking, but, like really working the muscles so I can hear clearly and help people. But I feel like at the end of the day, we all have it. Like, it's that idea of when you turn a certain alley or you go somewhere and all of a sudden you get that pit in your stomach, like, "Ooh, I don't know," or "I shouldn't go there," or like, or person, I feel like we all have that, and I feel like we've all felt that, or I feel like we all have an intuition, just some are stronger than others, and I feel like we can cultivate it if we want to, but I feel like some are more open than others, and I feel like at the end of the day, we all come to this world as all of our own individual gifts, and I feel like no, I don't to be honest, I don't feel like someone has to be spiritual, like, know all the terms and do all that to be spiritual. Like, I feel like my dad was probably one of the most spiritual people I ever met, and he never, like like, he did like, if I talked to him about this stuff, he'd be like, "What?" But he was so grounded and clear and, just authentic, and I feel like that's what spirituality is, in that essence, but I feel like I got off topic on that, but you know what I mean? It's just, I feel like we all can cultivate it, and I feel like we all have it to some degree, and some can develop it more than others. Let's just say that. It's kind of like the same idea, like, we're all walking. Like, the only analogy I can think, like, we're all walking, and some of us can run, and some of us can do other things, like, but not everybody is able to run or dance or ice skate. But, we all have the ability to move our bodies, just not to the yeah. Explain it. I feel like hopefully that did it.
No, it does, and it's funny because I have a father too who's very grounded, and he's
Mm,
all about gardening, and he's
mm.
so, um peaceful and at peace, and I feel like nature is his way to connect with God or
Aw.
himself and be at peace. But I wanna ask you just a few closing questions. I wanna ask you about your journey to happiness and, like, what does happiness look like for you now versus what it looked like for you before you went on this beautiful holistic journey?
Yeah, I feel like I've always been naturally happy. I feel like that's just like I feel like I've always been a happy person, but I feel like the happiness is like deeper now. Like, I feel like more like at peace happy, like in the sense of I've worked through so much stuff that I feel like an inner peace happiness where it's like before it was just like happy, like, like I feel like I don't know. It's almost like I don't want to say a superficial level of happy, but I feel like I'm at like a deeper level of happy and like a calm happy. Like, it doesn't have to be
Sure.
laughing and I mean, of course laughing is part of it, but it's not like laughing all the time. It's just like this inner happiness, inner peace. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, let me ask you one final question and then I'll let
Sure.
you go, even though I could talk to you about soul stuff all day.
Yeah.
I want if you could give our audience just one piece of advice for 2026, tell them one thing, what would it be to help them get to that beautiful grounded level of happiness that you're at?
Yeah, I feel like, at the end of the day, whether find something you resonate with, whether it's a book, whether it's a podcast, whether it's finding a coach or mentor, someone like me or someone not like me at all. Like, just find something that you feel is going to help get you a step closer to that inner peace. Because looking back now, I don't regret anything I've ever tried that got me closer, because either it got me closer to where I wanna be or it got me more clear on where I wanna be, like, whether it's implementing meditation every day, whether it's reading a new book, like, maybe pick one new thing to try that you feel is gonna bring you that inner peace. Yeah. So maybe just trying something new and and whether yeah.
I read somewhere this professor, he was talking to a group of college kids who said that life just felt like it was speeding by. And sometimes I feel like life is speeding by, and they say it's because of the monotony of doing the same. So what you're saying resonates with me so much because trying something new will actually slow time too and make you feel more present. Oh
Yeah.
my god, Lisa, thank you so much. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time. I had such a
Thank
great time
you.
talking to you. And
You
guys,
too.
thank you for tuning in. And be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget, you are not late. You are becoming. Bye, everyone.